Welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner Podcast.
Hello and welcome to the Ordinary Marathoner Podcast. My name is Scott. I'll be your host today. Got a great show for you today. Got another great guest. I'm going to bring him on in just a minute. This week's episode is brought to you by Fleet Feet Longmeadow. Fleet Feet is our local running store. They're helping us out with the Ordinary Marathon. We're going to actually add a live 5K this year. Where you can either run it as part of the virtual run and submit your time, or you can meet us out in Longmeadow, right at our local running store, which is Fleet Feet Longmeadow. And obviously Fleet Feet is a chain. Longmeadow is our local store. Tim Murphy down there helps us out. And so hey, he's helping us out with the race. He's a sponsor of the program, and I'd love to have him. So Fleet Feet Longmeadow is our sponsor for the day. As always, you can find this in the back episodes of our podcast at our website, ordinarymarathoner.com. Check it out if you get a chance. You can also find us over at YouTube these days. We're uploading all of the audio to YouTube over there, our YouTube channel. We also got a few videos that are other than the podcast, including Stephanie's upcoming series on her Couch to 5K. Right now, I think we're looking at mid-January as a start date for that. She's got a doctor's appointment on January 7th, I think, and hopefully they'll be giving her the okay to get going and we can start on our video series. So you can also check out our Facebook group, our discussion group over there called Ordinary Marathoners. It's a closed group. You got to add yourself to it. We'll put you through right away, though. You can join the conversation over there. Got a lot of people over there. Great support. About 675 members over there. Really, just a good crew. We're doing this 100-mile challenge in December. I have fallen off the wagon when it comes to that thing, but you guys you're doing well, and I'm following a bunch of you guys, and I know people have already completed it. It's amazing. You guys are incredible. And you can also find me at Twitter at Ord Marathoner. That's O-R-D Marathoner. Follow me there. I'll follow you back and get the conversation going on over there. And with that, I'm going to bring in today's guest. He was on the podcast a couple of weeks ago, probably by now a couple of months ago, with his father, Glenn Eisenstein, his sister, Samantha Watson. So let's welcome back Tony Pearlman. How you doing, Tony?
I'm doing great, Scott. Thanks for having me. How are you?
I'm doing good. Hey, if this is too personal, you can tell me to shut up, but I just want to ask you the obvious question. Obviously, your dad, Glenn Eisenstein, you, Tony Pearlman. Is there like a stepdad here? What's the situation?
No, so just him and my mom never got married.
Oh,
so
all right, that makes sense.
Yeah, so Sam's my half sister.
Yeah.
Pearlman's my mom's maiden name.
Gotcha. All right, that makes sense. I was wondering, and I know it sounds personal, and I didn't want to get too.
No, it's okay.
Too into it. So, I think last time we spoke, so we had such a group setting, so it was kind of hard for everyone, I think, to tell their own personal stories. Although we did a pretty good job. The last thing I knew, Glenn was getting ready for the New York City Marathon, and since then he's finished. So I'm just wondering how did you wind up following the race, and did you, how involved were you with, on race day?
So I couldn't make the trip. I did try very hard to go run in it. I wanted to run in it with them. This sort of, I guess, shows how inexperienced I am with all this. I got my bib. So when I decided to do, it wasn't until I did the Navy Air Force half that the following day I went to work and I talked to my buddy at work and said, let's just do a full. And then the full coming up was the Marine Corps.
Right.
And we just went on Facebook and bought 2 bibs. I mean, because they allowed that you could just buy, 2 people got hurt and we got their bibs.
Yep.
So that's what I thought was the norm.
Right.
So I had it in my head that I wanted to surprise Glenn and go run the New York one the following week. And I found a charity bib that was available. And I agreed to, raise money for them, and if they gave me the bib, and then we tried to get entered, and they laughed at us because they're supposed to be done months in advance, I guess.
Yeah. New York is sort of strict sometimes with that stuff.
Yeah, and I understand it now. I mean, I asked 8 or 9 times when I kept asking to speak to people's bosses. I'm pretty sure if I asked one more time, they weren't going to ever let me run it. So,
Right.
So yeah, I followed it from the tracker, which actually looked like it was working pretty well. I was texting Samantha to tell him to slow down. I
don't think he listened.
So yeah, I was just following him through there, and I'm really proud of what he did. And I don't know that I could go out there and do a 7-hour marathon. I think I don't know that I could do the bridges. To be perfectly honest, I mean, I like driving over the Verrazano Bridge makes me nervous. I can't imagine running over it. So.
Right. Yeah, I got to tell you, just from personal experience and being in Staten Island and looking at that bridge, when you look at it, it looks so big that you're like, You mean I run over that and then there's 25 more miles? It looks like if you run over that, like they should just give you the medal there,
Right, exactly. Just, I mean, you get a decent crosswind. I mean, it's going to be a really bad day for you.
Yeah, well, the first year I did it, they actually moved the wheelchair start across the bridge. They have an alternate start because the wind was so strong. They were afraid that the crosswinds are going to knock over the wheelchair racers, which, it gets pretty bad. But you know what? Hopefully one day you'll do it. And I don't know if it seems like a bucket list thing for you.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's certainly what I'm hoping happens. I'd very much like to run one with Glenn, but either way, I said, okay, I see the money that he was able to raise for the Samfund. So I told Samantha, if there's any bibs that they have and they need somebody to run, just count me in.
Yeah, you're in. That's a good plan. Cool. And they had a few this year, so maybe they'll get a few next year. Maybe you're looking at a 2019.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I really want to do an ultra though next year. I know that it's.
This is what I liked about you. This is why I had you back. This is the entire reason I had you back, because you're kind of in this mentality where you did the Army Navy half or whatever. Right?
Yeah, the Air Force Navy half, which is probably one of the coolest medals I've ever seen. Yeah.
And that was like March or April. Wasn't that in the spring?
That was 6 weeks before the Marine Corps. So that was
not even like August.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
And then so you sign up for a full, and you do that, and then the last time we were talking, I don't know if you had signed up already. I think you have for an Ironman.
So, it's funny you bring that up. So I committed to doing it, but I didn't pay the money.
Okay, smart man.
I was like, okay, yes, I want to do it. I hired a coach.
Yeah.
I hired probably the most laid back coach I could find because I didn't want an A-type personality. I'm not trying to qualify for Kona. Like I don't, I looked around a bunch through the Ironman U and got hooked up with this guy, Jeff, who's done so when he did Kona, he qualified for Kona because he's finished so many Ironmans. They gave him
I forget what they call it. There's a legacy program, I think they call it. Yeah,
exactly. So, and I mean, he's like the nicest guy in the world. I mean, he's, on his 14th or 15th, I think he's in his mid-50s. Drinks a bunch of beer, loves riding his bike. So him and I got, really sort of vibed, and he was helping. So I've been doing the Training Peaks thing for a while, but we talked about goals. I knew that I wanted to complete an Ironman before my 35th birthday, which is November of next year.
Yeah.
And he suggested Texas was the one that we shoot for. So I think within a day or so after the Marine Corps Marathon, I made it official and signed up.
Right.
I paid them, all the money that they wanted, and I signed up. So, and then I decided to sign up for Lake Placid also.
Like the full?
Yeah.
For next year?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm in. We're doing it.
Yeah.
Awesome, man. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah. I'm so psyched. That's all right. You got a lot of work to do, brother.
Yeah. Well, so part of the reason that I'm doing Placid is that, and in the back of my mind, I probably should have made Placid the first one. Yeah. Because swimming's probably my hardest.
So when is Texas?
Texas, April 27th.
All right. So wow, you're doing. Yeah, I hear you. So Texas is the one you can back out of, or?
I'm not going to back out of any of them. Okay. I can back out of whatever I want, but I'm not going to back out of it.
All right.
He chose Texas because the run and the bike aren't going to.
Yeah.
They're relatively flat.
Right. How's the swim there? Is it a lake or is it
the lake? It's
Okay.
Woodland Lake, and I don't know that I've ever actually swum in a lake in my entire life.
All
Swim
right,
in a
yeah.
lake
You
in
know
my
what,
entire life.
dude? Listen, this is what I'm gonna tell you. there are going to be parts of this journey that are going to overwhelm you and be harder, more difficult than you even thought there were. Then there are going to be parts where you thought they were really hard, and maybe it wasn't so bad. And for me, swimming was one of those things. So I think swimming in a lake and it's a little intimidating. It definitely can be. You're definitely going to want to get out and practice a little bit beforehand. I don't know how easy that's going to be for you when you're
Very cold.
I know.
Very cold, right? Yeah.
Wetsuits are beautiful for that, but it's still pretty cold. So I did my first practice swim in I think late May or early May in the Northeast in Massachusetts, and the water was. I remember driving, and the temperature outdoors was in the 40s. It was like 44 degrees. And we got there in the lake. I don't even remember what temperature it was, but it was nothing that I'd want to swim in. And I got in. I just remember I had a sleeveless wetsuit, and it just felt like 1,000 needles just when you went in. And then there's just the fear of being in a vast expanse of water.
Yeah, isn't Lake Placid known for like some sort of killer alligator or something?
It's a movie, yeah. What's funny is so I had Laura Stebbins in. She's a friend of mine. She's a fellow Ironman, lives in my neighborhood, and I recorded a podcast with her this afternoon, which will be out probably tonight, and then I'll probably post yours tomorrow. And we were just talking about the exact same thing, the Lake Placid alligator, which it's actually the swim. Her point was the swim is in Mirror Lake and not Lake Placid, and they're separated, so you don't have to worry about the alligators. They don't travel. They don't travel well.
Yeah, at this point, I'm more worried about the snakes in Texas. So
yeah, that's true.
And because I'm going to guess that it will not be wetsuit legal, which is going to suck. But either way, I mean, it's. I had a really good swim today. It's a little bit of a pain in the ass, especially living in the city, to get to a pool. I mean, DC is actually swim friendly. If you have a DC license, you can go to any public pool for free.
Right.
But with traffic and everything, I finally found a 50-meter pool that I'm basically practicing in, like, only, and it's about a 30-minute drive.
Yep.
So I try and swim at least an hour. I mean, that's the goal, because mentally it just stinks to sit in more traffic than you exercise.
Oh, well, it's hard to swim more than an hour, and it's hard to stay in the pool just back and forth. It's like watching tennis, back, forth, and you get used to it though.
I'm working on it. I mean, it's definitely my focus was my focus for the last couple of weeks was I was gonna try and do my first century ride.
Yep. You mentioned that the other day on email, and I was wondering if you had done that yet, or. So
I got a text from my coach at 4:00 in the morning saying that. So it's on this island. Well, it's not really an island, but 3/4 of it's surrounded by water, and it's a 3.5 mile loop that's pretty flat, but it's basically at sea level.
Yeah. And
it had rained for 2 days prior, nonstop, and then it was still raining. So there were flood reports and everything.
Yeah.
And he said, "Hey guys, like, this is stupid. We shouldn't be doing this." He's like, "I'm out." I texted my buddy Ian, who he's part of the reason that I'm doing Placid is that, him and I were training for the marathon together, and now he bought a tri-bike and he signed up as well.
Nice.
So I said, "Fantastic, I'll do Placid with you." And I texted him. I said, "Thoughts?" He sent me a picture of him in his bike gear, and he's almost never ridden really outside.
Yeah.
He wanted to do the 50-mile. He wanted to do a 50-mile ride. I wanted to do a century ride because I had never gone past 50.
Yeah.
And he had missed the coach's text. So it wasn't until he got to my place. He's like, "Had I seen this, I'd still be in bed."
Right.
Now.
So did you guys go?
We went the week prior. Him and I rode outside for the first time in the cold. And then I drove straight to REI and bought $500 worth of cold gear. Because I was like vastly unprepared for the cold.
Yeah.
And
I don't do cold myself.
Confident.
I pass on cold.
I had the right gear for the cold.
Right.
What I didn't realize was that cold and cold gear and wet gear are not synonymous.
There you go.
So it was raining. I had 6 layers on, including 3 jackets, covered by a North Face shell. I had 2 sets of gloves. I had running gloves under my biking gloves. At the 36th mile, I had to change my socks. So yeah, I did 51 miles in like 3 hours, and I called it quits at that point. Like it was
sounds like a fun day.
Yeah, it was brutal. So ever since then, now my focus is on the swim, and I got a new trainer. This actually set it up this morning.
Yeah, you got it all set up in one day. That's pretty good. Did you get it? Which one did you get?
I went with the kicker.
Oh, okay.
So
I've never tried that one, but a lot of people have it. They say it's great.
Yeah, well, as it turns out, I probably wasn't using the Magnus Cyclops properly.
Okay.
Because my wheel kept slipping when I was trying to do incline work or hill work.
Yeah.
And I probably didn't have it turned tight enough, but it was very annoying to me. So that's why I wanted to go direct drive. And
I have the Cyclops, and I have the similar issue from time to time where the wheel slips. It's annoying. It's frustrating. I deal with it. I don't know, but I hear good things about the kicker. I've been thinking about that, but everything is just so expensive on.
It's insane. I mean, right now the hotel room alone, which I still haven't booked, that my coach wants me to go stay at. Well, it's where he's staying, and he suggested to stay near the finish line
in Lake Placid or in Texas.
In Texas,
yeah.
It's like $400 a night. I mean, it's crazy.
And they probably like Lake Placid. I think you need like 4 or 5 nights too. They don't you can't just come in one day and run the race and go home. You have to stay like a long weekend.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I was kind of hoping I'd get some friends or family to make the drive up there and maybe, or like get a cabin or Airbnb or something.
Right. It's, I mean, the prices there weren't so bad. I lucked into a room. One of the reasons I do Lake Placid now, this is the 3rd year, is because I got a room that was pretty close to the finish line, and I don't want to lose it because after the race, they like ask you to book it right away for the next year. And if I don't book it, I'll lose it for so I'm like, every year I'm like, I really like the race. I really like the weekend. It's a beautiful time up there. So I book it for the next year. It's not too expensive. I think it's like 5 nights is like $1,000 or something like that. It might be 800 or something like that.
And that seems reasonable. I mean, the problem is when you start talking about $400 a night, it's like, I mean, but then again, I feel like, okay, if I overpay $700, how important is it to be close to the finish line? I feel like for my first one, I'm gonna probably go all out.
Splurge. It's worth it. It's worth it to be near the finish line. I remember, so the first year I did it, I had a friend of mine that lived in Lake Placid. He gave me a couple hotels, and I called the first one, and they were all booked, and they asked me to be on the waiting list. So I said sure. And then I called a bunch more, and they were all the same thing, but I didn't go on the waiting list. And then the last hotel was like 2 towns away, 10 miles or something away. And I didn't want to stay that far, but it was the only place I could get. So I booked the room. And then 2 days before I was supposed to leave, they called me from the first place. And I didn't even remember that I was on the waiting list. And they're like, oh, a spot opened up. So I lucked into it.
Nice.
And I got it. Yeah.
So everybody keeps telling me, so I'm thinking about buying a tri bike for Texas. I think that, even if I can get a 1.5 miles, 2 mile an hour faster, it's going to make it less awful.
It could.
But everybody's saying go road bike for Placid.
I have a road bike, and I added aero bars to it. So, which you can do, and then adding the aero bars isn't that expensive.
Got them right there.
There you go. I love the road bike. I have been thinking about getting a tri bike. I just actually went to the bike fitter today. I went to the bike fitter 2 months ago and got like a full brand new computerized, analysis fit.
Like the retool thing.
Yeah, exactly. It was pretty cool. Like she went through a lot of stuff, took a couple hours. She really, and I felt, my FTP went up a little bit, and I think I attribute some of that to the work and some of that to the fit. The one thing that like I noticed is that I don't, like, either I'm very inflexible, or maybe because I still have like a pretty decent gut in the middle that I don't lean over very well. You know what I mean? Like, I can't get into that low position in the aero bars. She even wanted to strip the aero bars off of mine. She's like, you're not really using the position effectively. And I'm like, it's kind of comfortable. I like the position.
Takes the stress off your back.
Yeah, exactly. And, so she wants me to use the drops a little bit more, which is like the lower handlebar, which I've been practicing. And the problem is I get pain from the saddle all the time, just pain in bad places. So I went back and she helped fit me for like a new seat today. So I just said like the only two people you can call to help alleviate ass pain is your proctologist and your bike fitter. So she hopefully, I'm supposed to go and do a bike ride tonight just on the trainer, and hopefully that helps out. But, I think her point for me was and going back to your tri-bike question, and, I think what you really want to do is talk to a bike person and not just a salesperson, but someone who's going to give you good feedback and honest feedback. Because for me, I don't think a tri-bike is going to work. And I really want one. Like, it's like my next big purchase. I really, really want one. And I see people on them all the time. And I'm like, I start drooling because I just want one. But, it might not make sense for me. So, I mean, I think my advice would just be to find someone who knows what they're talking about and ask them what they think. Cause I don't think I'm really qualified to give you a great opinion, but that's just what happened to me. I really want one. I'm not going to get one because I don't feel like I'm ready for it. And I don't think I can use it effectively.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think that, the big concern for Placid is the hills.
Yeah.
And that being kind of unrealistic on a tri-bike. I mean, they're not really meant.
Yeah, and you can really get up, if you're on the hills and it's tough and you want to stand up and really grind into the pedals. I'd probably be more comfortable in a road bike than a tri-bike. Yeah. I'm guessing. I've never really ridden a tri-bike, so I don't know. But
yeah,
as far as Placid is concerned, I think from what I've heard about Texas is pretty flat, and I did Maryland, and Maryland was really flat. Although that was still, being on a bike for that long is still gonna, you're still gonna get pain. And you don't get a break because there's no downhills also. So you don't, Maryland was very windy. So I don't know how Texas is, but if it's windy, wind is, so like you can prepare for hills on the trainer, right? You can get more resistance on your trainer and prepare for hills. It's really hard to prepare for wind, So
that was the big thing that, made Sunday. So besides the rain, because it's a 3.5 mile loop.
Yeah.
It was about a 6 mile an hour difference depending on which side of the island you were on.
Yeah.
Because of how strong the headwind went through the tailwind. So,
And
I get it.
There's nothing like pushing the pedals super hard and then looking down at your mile per hour and you're going like 8. And you're flat. And then you're like, what's going on? Oh, man. Yeah. But, I think you've got a decent plan. I mean, Texas is, it seems doable. It seems something like, if you're going to give it a go on your first one, that's one to do. You got all winter to train, which is probably slowly disappearing day by day for you.
It was great. I got a text, at like 6 o'clock in the morning from my coaches. In 140 days, we're going to go 140 miles. Don't remind me. I understand. You're killing me, coach.
Your tears come to your eyes. My God.
Yeah. So, probably in the next few weeks, I'm going to start probably making it more public. I think that my mistake not my mistake. I look back on it and I don't know. Like, I didn't really tell many people about the marathon because I didn't want to fail publicly, I guess.
Right.
And I guess that's a weird way to look at things, and especially now that I look back at it and I go, I don't know why I would plan to fail, or at least have a backup plan to fail. So I'm going to be a little more public about the Ironman, and if I don't finish it, it's because something bad probably happened. You know
what, man? I don't think that's a bad thing at all. I don't think I wouldn't look at that for you, like that you were worried about failing. Who wouldn't be worried about failing their first marathon, especially with the amount of training that you had, and you did 5 hours.
Yeah.
So highly successful. You know what, man? The race is it's yours. It's not anybody else's. It's yours. And I don't know. It's not, I don't think it's something to be worried, not worried or I guess lose sleep over. And
so I've gotten the time out of my head. Like I keep thinking, I can do this in sub 13 and No. My goal is to finish
Yep.
and to hopefully have some family and some friends at the finish line to celebrate with me, and then I'll worry about Placid. So I am going to start doing some fundraising. I paid the normal entry because I didn't want any distractions, but I told Sam that I would raise some money. If I raise any money for my first one, it'll be for her.
Yeah.
So over the next couple weeks, I'm going to put up a website or something like that.
Cool.
And then for Placid, I did the Ironman Foundation entry.
Yep.
So I got to raise some money for them next.
Gotcha. Well, listen, I definitely invite you. I don't know if you're on Facebook, but I definitely invite you to come over to our page and post your fundraising stuff and see about that. It's also just good to get the word out about the Samfund. I know a lot of people on the page have already, given me really positive feedback that we're doing our virtual run, for the Samfund, which you can find if you guys are interested out there. You can find at the Samfund. It's the Samfund, right? .org. I think that's the website.
I think it's just samfund.org.
Samfund.org. I'm gonna have to look that up. I'll make sure I post about it on the page. But we're happy to raise money for the cause, and obviously your father has raised an incredible amount of money for the cause, and I think it's cool that you're going to be doing this and supporting her charity as well.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's a great cause, and yeah, I mean, it's nice to be able to do.
Yeah, so. Definitely. So what? So I'll tell you this about Lake Placid. I'm going to give you a little, give you a little, not advice, but just, you're going to train for a lot of hills. And we were saying, it's funny because I was just talking about this a couple hours ago with Laura, but, the hills it's not that they're steep, that they're long. And, it's just they're long. So you're not talking about 10% grade. You're talking about, 5 to 8% grade at the most. And the only thing is they're 6 miles long. You know what I mean? And you don't get many reprieves because there's one giant downhill that's about 4 miles long. And that's pretty much all your downhill. And it's super fast. And, the only thing I'll say about that is that for me, I think I was just, cause I'm not used to going down or going that fast. And I don't like going that fast because I'm scared to crash. And, it was just as nerve wracking for me going down that giant hill than it was any other part of the race. So it's not like I got a reprieve from the old heart rate.
So it's funny that you say that. I was in Italy in August and I just started riding a couple months prior, and, it was with my mom.
Yep.
And we went to a place called Riva del Garda on the top of Lake Garda, which actually turns out to be a pretty active community.
Yep.
A lot of people renting bikes, a lot of bike shops. So on my last night there, I stopped into a bike shop and I started talking to them, and I said, hey, I'd like to rent a bike and somebody to go riding with, right? Because I wasn't going to ride by myself out there. So we exchanged some prices, whatever. So they say, fantastic. The owner of the shop will show up at your hotel at 6 o'clock the following morning.
Oh, that's cool.
Fantastic. So this guy, Carlo, who's 6'2", 170 pounds,
yeah.
Shows up in a $13,000 Cannondale. And the towing alongside of him is basically almost a mountain bike. I mean, it was a road bike. It was I ride a 58. This was a 52. There were no clip-ins. The fact that I had a helmet was probably a good thing, or a lucky thing. And he's like, "This is the closest we had for you." I said, "Okay, fantastic." He said, "How far do you want to go?" I said, "As far as you can." And we started riding, and he took me through the town and up a highway, which climbed a mountain. And at this point, nobody tells you when you buy. When I first bought my bike, when I went bike shopping with my best friend Justin,
yeah,
I was the one that asked the question, "Where's the kickstand?" I had never.
That's right. Gotcha.
Right. So
why did they take those off?
Right. Exactly. It's an expensive bike. You don't want it to fall. I don't understand. So nobody ever tells you what gear you're really supposed to use, when, and how. So he looks at me, and I'm in the gear that I think is right, And he's looking at me like, "What are you doing? You're an idiot!" Like, no. And I'm leaning forward, and I'm standing up, and I'm cranking away. And he says, "Listen, hills are great." And he's like, it's broken English a little bit, but he goes, "Hills are great. They help you build a good basement." Right? He keeps referring to it as a good basement. And he's like, and what he taught me was that you don't need to stand up, you don't need to huff and puff. You stay in the gear, and you stay in the right gear, and you just pedal slowly.
Yeah.
And you will eventually make it up the hill. Right? It's just foot over foot over foot, and it's just constant. And so now when I go riding with my buddy Ian on the hills, because he's standing up, he hasn't learned that lesson yet.
He's got to build a good basement.
You got to build a good basement, which I think is hilarious. I'm gonna probably get T-shirts made for that. So yeah, no, it's So yeah, I'm looking forward to preparing for the long hills. It's freaking grueling. That's part of the reason I got the kicker, is that with direct drive, I feel like I can do some real elevation work and not mess up too much. And then I don't know. Again, everything's getting really expensive.
Yeah, that's the way this works. Unfortunately. Wait, did you buy the wetsuit yet?
No. So I'm still trying to figure out. I'm still trying to lose a lot of weight, and that's my biggest struggle. Is that I still need to drop a good 40 or 50 pounds at some point.
You're running out of time there, brother. I'm on the same boat. That's how I know.
And it's like, okay, how do I? They don't make a diet in which you can lose weight and exercise and burn 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,000 calories a day.
Yeah.
And still lose weight, right? So, and have enough energy to do those workouts.
To do it, right.
So that's certainly been a challenge, and that's definitely a mental challenge.
Sure.
And then obviously, when you're buying gear and stuff, trying to find stuff that fits, that's going to continue to fit, is a problem. So yeah, I'm probably going to hold off until the last minute to buy a wetsuit.
And that's fine. It's nothing that, you're going to want to try it on at least once before, I think, just to make sure you're used to it and that it fits. I went to Lake Placid with two different sizes because I didn't know. Last year I had my old one that I knew wasn't going to fit. It was going to be too tight because I gained weight. And then, I bought a new one. I was just hoping one of them fit. I went the day before the race and swam. And it fit. It was good, but I didn't, when you put on the weight, it's like I wasn't meant to wear a wetsuit. The same thing with bike bib shorts, which I just found out today. I wasn't made, the bib shorts with that come over your shoulders. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. I'm not meant to wear those either. Not in public, at least.
Oh God, no, they're hideous. I mean, I grew up as a wrestler.
Yeah, right? There you go. Singlet.
Like a wrestling singlet, right? So, but yeah, no, I joined this DC tri club called Speed Sherpa, and because they have a lot of deals with the bike shops and whatnot.
Yeah.
So on my kicker, it's usually $1,200. I got it for $750.
That's good.
So
that's a good price.
It was a good deal.
So what are you doing Zwift, or are you doing what kind of platform are you on? You on Zwift?
Zwift. Yeah, so I've been using Apple for the most part to load into Zwift, and then sometimes Strava, but everything else goes through Training Peaks.
Yeah.
I just finally, because I got fed up that my watch died during the bike ride, so I have a Garmin on its way. I'm going to switch over to Garmin for all my training.
So which
one do you have?
I think this is a 920 XT. I think it is.
Okay.
It's cool. It goes in the wall. I needed to count my lap. 920 XT. Needed to count my laps in the pool because I can't. One of the things I found in the pool is I can't be relied on to count laps.
Oh, absolutely not. I'm thinking of I can't count laps. Although one of the things I will say that the coolest feature, I'm not a tech guy, was that the first time I swam with my Apple Watch on, when I was over, it told me how many laps I did freestyle, how many laps I did breaststroke.
Get out of here.
And then how many laps I did something called other.
That's awesome.
that tells you what kind of swimmer I am. Apple doesn't even know what's underneath it.
You can't figure out what he's doing.
It's basically like a doggy paddle / backstroke /
You're aqua jogging.
Exactly. So, and it's funny because I was talking to my friend Courtney, who I train with a lot. She did a 70.3 in Ohio, and she's probably going to come to Texas. She signed up for Texas as well. Is my complaint with the Garmin was like it feels really light and like dainty almost, like not dainty but like cheap almost.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, yeah, you want a light watch? You can be swimming with it on.
Yeah.
I said, okay, well that makes sense. Like, okay, like
yeah,
I'll go buy it now.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, this is pretty substantial. I've seen other ones. I had an old one that was like a 1. I can't even remember, like a 1.8. I don't even remember the number. That was just running. But this one does the whole triathlon stuff. You know, it does swimming, biking, and running, and it does pretty well. And they also have a triathlon mode, except for when I tried it, I couldn't figure out what buttons to push during transition, and I just screwed it all up. And so
it's like the worst feeling ever.
Yeah. It's like I screwed up my, my watch.
Well, and then like, so with the new Apple update, I don't know, like some button gets hit and now it's giving me splits that I don't want splits.
Right.
But I will say like the one thing that I think the Garmin has over the Apple is that when you're biking or when you're running in the Garmin, the clock stops. Whereas the Apple, it keeps going.
It can. You can stop it. I think, but there is also an auto stop. I think there's a setting that you could set it to where if you stop, it'll stop it for you. Which is, if you're riding and you stop at red lights, like, you know, you have to sit there and wait for 3 minutes. It's like that's 3 minutes that'll get tacked onto your time.
Right. It makes you look like you're going slower than you are, and then your coach yells at you. And it's. I will say, Jeff really doesn't yell at me. Like, he's great with the heart rate mentality. You know, if he says something to me, it's, you need to get your heart rate down. You need to do this. You need to do that. But it's always in a positive way. And I like the heart rate training. It's I just got signed up with Infinite for some nutrition. And I do nothing with caffeine in it. I use that as like a last resort.
You know, one of the things, and this is as a side note, one of the things that you should do is look into what the race has to offer for nutrition, especially Lake Placid. I'll tell you why. So Texas, you could probably bring whatever you want with you and just throw it on your bike, and it's not going to matter. But and I hear this, this is one of the pieces of advice I kept hearing from people that know more than me, is when you load up your bike in Lake Placid or like on a hilly course with lots of water, all you're doing is adding weight. And if you can use as an advantage, use the rest stops and go in and take whatever nutrition you have there. So, you know, the theory was to try to train with whatever is on course. And then that way you don't have to bring anything with you, which, you know, I guarantee you're going to fill up all those bags that they give you, all the, you know, the help bags. You're going to fill those up for Texas. And then when you do Lake Placid, after you've done one already, half the stuff that you're that you had in the bags in Texas, you're not going to put in the bags in Lake Placid.
So what's in your special needs bag? What's one thing that you was like your must have, and then what was one thing that you wish you would have put in there but you didn't?
I think, you know, I think there was one year it rained and I wished in the run bag I put an extra pair of socks.
Okay.
Which people tell you that. So and I usually, so in Lake Placid, because it's one loop, it's 2 loops for the run, 2 loops for the bike. I got last year,
and 2 loops for the swim, right?
And 2 loops for the swim. Yep. It's 2 loops for everything. Yep, you're right. And it's cool for the swim because you actually, and it matters little, but it does matter, is it kind of cuts it in half and it gives you're on land for that little bit. You know, you swim the first loop, then you get out and you're on land for a little bit. And even though you're only on, I mean, you could stay out if you wanted for a little bit. But if you just jump right in, I think it matters to like kind of get your bearings a little bit and then get back in the water. As opposed, like when I did Maryland, it was like just constant loops. And I don't know. It was, I think it was an advantage to get out of the water and get back in. But you know, I think last year I hardly put anything in my bags. I don't think I mean, I put a little bit of extra nutrition just in case. I put Band-Aids. I put chafing cream. Like they give you you can buy these little like self-serve or single serve chafing cream, that you just throw in the bag. I mean, my first year I had like chapstick in the bag. Like who the hell uses that? And I knew when I put chapstick in the bag, I'm like, I'm going a little crazy here. I got I got chapstick in all the bags. Like I need that. It was crazy, but, I dry socks was one. I put a second pair of sneakers actually in the bag the first year, but I don't think I did it last year because I didn't need it. Or maybe I did it last year, but not the year. I don't even remember. I don't remember. You kind of have to assess it when you're there. I think the key is don't forget your helmet. What happened to me the first year. So there are rules about putting on the helmet. So the key is as soon as you get into your bag, put the helmet on right away and latch it. Because I think if you get on your bike and your helmet isn't latched, you can be disqualified, which is an interesting rule, but it's probably a good rule. So the first year what happened to me was I went to clasp the helmet and the little plastic clasp fell off of the belt. So I had this little piece of plastic in my hand. It wouldn't connect. And I called the bike tech and he's looking at it. So I swam about 10 minutes faster than I thought I was going to swim. And I lost 19 minutes in transition because we couldn't put the helmet back together. They wound up giving me a new helmet and just letting me use it for the day. And it didn't fit me. It was like a medium and I usually wear like an XL because I got a big head. But just try on that helmet the day before you hand it in. Make sure it clasps and take it off. Make sure, obviously bike shoes. I'm not a fast transition person. I'm a deliberate transition person because I'm not looking to, like you, I'm not looking to qualify for Kona. So I take my time in transition. I think I last year I didn't get to the run, but I brought, separate run shorts so I could take off the bike shorts and just get into regular comfortable shorts and not have to deal with the padding in the bike.
Yeah, I don't think I was going to. So that's what I was going to ask people about this. It's like a tri-suit.
Yes.
Like, did the people run in what they biked in?
Yeah. So the tri-suit is it's like a tri-kit is just basically like it's like spandex pants, but it's like bike shorts, but they're not the pad isn't as thick as a normal bike. It's like a thin. It's like a very thin. For the one I bought 2 years ago, it was really thin. And then what happened was when I did Maryland, I actually wound up putting regular padded bike shorts over top because I just felt like I needed more padding. And then when I did Placid last year, I just put full bike shorts on when I was done. I just had like spandex on underneath my wetsuit. I took them off and I just was going to do a deliberate change every single transition, not worry about time. But you can get it if you get a tri-kit.
I'm not squeezing 270 pounds into a tri-kit. I'm not. I'm very much looking. Yeah,
they're all sizes, my friend. They're all sizes.
No, I mean I want to be comfortable on the bike. I mean, I feel like if I keep training well, especially in Texas, the bikes where I can make up some time that I'm going to lose in the swim. Not that I really care about time, but the swim's going to take me forever, and I just want to be comfortable on the bike. So if I'm going to. One thing I've noticed is that I couldn't believe how expensive the bibs were at the bike shop versus just buying bike shorts from Amazon.
Yeah,
$20 bike shorts from Amazon versus $140 bib on. Yeah. But I will say this: I have one expensive bib, and even though the cushion, the padding looks the same. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah,
and it's so much more comfortable. So I will buy a decent bib, probably, and just a regular race, a matching jacket, or shirt.
For guys like us, it's about being comfortable.
Exactly.
It's about getting out there and being comfortable. You're going to be out there for a long time. The first one I was like, wow, I look pretty cool. Everything matches. Everything's nice. And then the second one I was like, just get me to the end. Doesn't matter. I just want to be comfortable. I'm out here for a long time. Especially when I saw the pictures and all the spandex. I don't belong in spandex.
Yeah, exactly. I don't want, I want people to donate to the Samfund, not like.
Yeah.
I did say.
Why'd you make me look at that?
Exactly. White and purple will not be part of the colors, though. So we'll figure something else out.
There you go. Yeah, you can find some purple stuff. Get yourself like a little patch or something. Throw it on there. You'll be good. You'll be good.
Yeah. Purple writing.
So, I mean, how do you feel, like for me, I got to tell you, so for me going into the triathlon, I thought I'd be fine on the run because I've done marathons. I knew what they were all about. I was going to be in shape. By the time, I got to the run, I knew if I could get to the run, I'd be okay. Because I think if you get to the run, you have like 7 hours to finish the run. 6 to 7 hours, something like that. And I felt confident that I was going to be able to get done as long as I get off the bike. I always thought that the swim was going to be tough for me and that the bike would be easy. And it turned out being the opposite. And I'm just giving you that as a little heads up because I feel like you're going at this and you're almost in the same place where I was. And so if this can help you a little bit, or maybe you could figure something out earlier than I did. And I'm still developing my bike. Like my bike is still my weakness and my swim, and you're getting a lot of swimming in. And once you're, I think you're going to have to do the open water. And once you kind of get comfortable in the open water and, you get that stroke down, you're going to be all right in the swim. I bet you surprise yourself.
Yeah, I need to, I'm still using buoys. I'm still using so I like the hand paddles, right? Because it gives me a decent shoulder workout while I'm in the water. And it tries and corrects my stroke. I have problems with my hands. I have bad hands, bad wrists. So trying to keep my hands together to get as much water as I can.
Yeah.
When I'm pulling.
By the way, you can look this up, but they actually, and it definitely ask your coach. I've seen videos where they've tested and they say that if you keep a little bit of space between your fingers, it's actually more advantageous than having them together.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's what your coach has taught you, but
yeah, my coach is basically telling me I got to hire a swim coach probably next month.
There you go.
Because I should be swimming. My goals. So starting January 2nd, I'm going to give up liquor until after Texas. So no more booze.
All right.
Just some red wine on occasion and maybe a beer here and there. I don't drink a lot of beer. And I'm going to commit to swimming at least 3 times a week, if not more. Because that's not happening right now, and I really need to. I do love that I have access to a 50-meter pool. It has certainly changed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's changed my swimming so much. I have an indoor pool in my building, but it's only 18 meters long.
Yeah.
So I got a kickboard coming, and I'm just using that to work on my kick because my kick sucks.
Yeah, you don't need a strong kick. I don't know what your coach is telling you. I kick very little.
So the problem is that my ass sinks and my feet sink.
Yeah.
So
you got to keep them buoyant.
Right.
Yeah.
And the problem is if I kick even a little bit hard, I get foot cramps.
Oh yeah. And those can be they can take you right out of the water. They can end your day. So
I've been practicing a lot, mentally, breathing, and also physically. When that happens, is I go immediately to my whatever they call it, my panic stroke, right? Where it's just so that I don't have to get pulled out of the race if it happens. Whether I go on my back, whether I move to a breaststroke, so anything I can do to just keep moving forward until the cramp goes away. Right. So I have lots of practice at that. And I figure worst case scenario, come February, if my swim doesn't get to the point where I like it, I'm going to start working on my backstroke. Figure.
You know what? I think you're going to be all right in the swim. I'm willing to bet that all that practice is going to come in handy. And, you'll know by the time you get there. I do like the fact that you're in a 50-meter pool because you get those long stretches. I used to, I swam my first few days in a pool in Marriott, which was like 50 feet. And, it's more like your 18-meter, I guess, but it was, it's like a lot of back and forth. And you know what? When you get those short laps, like you touch the wall and it's kind of like, it's not the same as being in the lake.
3 strokes. It's right. It's 3 strokes and you're done. I keep hitting. That's the other thing is I hated going to these pools and these swim classes and stuff like that. They have these swim clubs because I didn't know how to share a lane.
I don't do that either.
So
I'd rather just go home.
Yeah.
I'm a bad influence here, by the way.
No, I get it. It's awful, but I will say that I did notice, like, it's the same reasoning as to, so when my coach said don't ride on Sunday in the rain, my thinking was, okay, like, I get what you're saying, but I don't know how many times between now and Texas we're going to actually practice riding in the rain.
Right.
Like, if it rains in Texas, I'm not going home. I'm still going to go ride.
Got to do it. Yep.
So swimming with people around, at least, obviously it's not going to be hundreds of people on top of each other, but sharing a lane with 6 people, at least mentally or whatever, it's getting me a little more comfortable being in a crowd.
Yeah, that's big.
Really, I'd very much like to. I need to do the same practice on a bike, being in, sort of swallowed up by a peloton with 30 or 40 people around me.
Well, you actually don't, because there are rules. There are in Ironman, there are drafting rules.
Yeah, there were more crashes in Texas last year.
I know. Texas is bad. Texas, they don't pay attention to the drafting rules. And I heard about that. I heard that there was like a lot of issues. I don't know if did they take away the rules or did they just not enforce them?
I don't think they enforced them. I mean, it was because the rule's still there. I read the rules.
Yeah.
And I just want to make sure nobody else wipes me out.
Yeah.
Because that's gonna suck.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah, I don't know. I never really worried about that, but I certainly, sometimes you watch like the Tour de France and you see like those, and I just wonder how they don't crash all the time.
So that's my biggest fear with Placid is that I'm the same way. If I hit it downhill, so my coach is the different way. Like, he's 55, he's married, he's got a kid in college, he's lived a good life. He goes, why would you ever in
hit the brakes?
Right, in a 112-mile bike ride, he's like, why would you ever use the brake? Right? He's like, if you get a downhill, don't touch the freaking brake. I'm like,
yeah. I tell you, I was on that downhill. It was pouring rain, and when I was done, my arm was like sore as hell from just grabbing the brake and pulling it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
don't die. Trumps go too fast.
Exactly.
For me, not everyone.
So are you Zwifter also?
I am. I got on it a couple months ago. I've been doing they have like a 10 to 12 week FTP program that's supposed to help your power. I'm on something like week 7, I think. Working my way through that. It's been good. I've been pretty solid with it. I like it. I'm actually my name there is actually O-Ordinary Marathoner. So that plug in the show. If you're looking for me, I'll check it out and see if I can find you on there too. But yeah, I haven't done a lot of the group rides or anything like that or the races. I just kind of been doing this program. Throw it in erg mode and let it do its thing.
Yeah, I'm still learning how to use it. It's I can't stand the volcano. Like these weird like, give me a course that is as close to Texas as possible, or as close to Lake Placid as possible, or you're gonna have fun, load up Kona or something.
Right.
It's
I wish they could give me Lake Placid. If I had one wish for Zwift, it would be give us a Lake Placid course. That would be amazing.
Well, what's the total elevation at Placid?
So I think it's somewhere between 7,000 and 8,000 for both loops. I want to say that the first year I did it, they said it was like 6,000, but they changed the course last year. And Laura actually earlier told me it was like 8,000, but I don't know if that's totally accurate. It's something like that though. It's probably between like 7,000 and 8,000.
Cause there are those rides in Zwift that you can do. So my friend Courtney, she just did 5 hours on the trainer on Sunday.
God bless her.
I said, how many? She goes, I only did 52 miles, but she did 6,000 feet of elevation.
Yeah.
So,
and the thing with Zwift and most of the courses you're going to find there is they don't have the hills like they do in Lake Placid. They don't have really long, low hills. They have really steep hills. So 15% grade, stuff like that. And you're like, you're in your lowest gear grinding away at high wattage. And it's tough. Yeah.
I just got a Cadence with the Wahoo Kicker came a cadence sensor, so now I get to start looking at that. But when I rode it this morning for the first time, there's I did the box hill. It wasn't bad. It was about a 25-minute hill or 20-minute hill. Yeah. At going about 4 miles an hour, and it would rotate between a 5% and a 9% grade.
Yeah, and that's what you're gonna find. That's what you'll find at Placid. That's pretty much par for the course. It's just some of them are longer, some of them you'll I don't know. I think it's tough. You're gonna get used to the hills, I think, on Zwift, but man, I'm torn between I really want to give you really good encouragement, but I don't want you to think it's easy because it's not.
It's not. I am not, especially if I have Texas under my belt. I'm not really worried about Placid as far as my focus is Texas. I think Placid will be more fun for me and camaraderie and doing it with friends.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to meeting you up there. I'm looking forward to having a good weekend. It's going to be a whole bunch of people up there. So, one of the things that I do is the day before the race, I'll drive the course. So if you want to come along with us, I don't know how, what your plan is, but, we typically drive the course. There's a little ice cream spot that we take my daughter to and
nice.
And, get to know the course. One of the other platforms, and I don't know, sometimes these things get expensive, but, so there's a platform called Rouvy, Rouvy. It's something that you could download on the computer, and you can get a course, it'll mimic the course. So it'll give you, hills whenever the hills, it'll show you where you are on the course. It's kind of neat. It's not well known for whatever reason. I don't even know how I found it. I think when I bought the trainer, they just recommended it and I downloaded it, and it works pretty well for me. But I've been now, I'm a Zwift person now, so I kind of don't have that, but, it might be something for you to look into if you really want to learn the course, There's also YouTube videos where they show you the course too. So the guys will drive around and show you all the hills and all, what it's all about. And it's, some of them though, because they've made minor changes to the courses here and there, year in, year out, they might not be the exact course. They might miss a couple turns, but, they should have something out there.
So what best prepares you for hills like that? Obviously Zwift is, or an indoor trainer is. Yeah. It
is what it is. I got to tell you, I don't go outside, and there's a lot of people that train on the trainer almost exclusively. Mm-hmm. And, for me, and I think this kind of echoes what I hear from other people that do this. Number one, I'm scared stiff of the roads and getting hit by a car. That's my number one fear. And I will ride, but I will ride on mostly trails. I won't ride on the street if I can avoid it. And then number two, it's just convenient and it's right here. And for me, especially that we have a little baby and my other daughter's 9, that, in a couple hours, I'm going to put my daughter to bed. I'm going to go in the basement and fire up the trainer. And it's just convenient, and it's convenient for me to get it done at this time. And it's nice to have that ride done. I think last year, one of the places I went wrong was I think some of the workouts that I did were very light. I think some of the workouts I probably had an hour and a half or 2 hours I could kill. And, the book said do an hour and I did an hour, and I probably could have done more. So I sold myself short on a few, and I think this year I'm just going to make sure I put all the time in, because last year I definitely did not. The weight mattered. I don't want to scare you into that part as well, but, I did the first year I did at 203, and then last year I was 235. So one year I gained 30 something pounds. And, when I tell you I went that very first hill, I threw it into my lowest gear, my granny gear, and I could tell the difference between that year and the year before and how much more power I needed to put into it to get myself up that first hill. I know you have your eyes set on losing weight, but it is important. And I've heard a lot of pros tell you, you want speed. The best way to do it isn't to go buy a tri-bike. It's to get on what you have and lose the weight. And, and that's, I think it's candid advice, and sometimes people need to hear it. I certainly am one of those people. Cause I don't get my diet in line and I don't train as much as I should. And then I just tend to gain weight. So for me, I'm going to need to focus on that. I'm down about 15 pounds since Lake Placid, which is a good start, but I got probably another 20, 25 to go. So I know you know the feeling, but that's the battle for me. I will feel if I go into that race at 200 pounds, 205 pounds, I'll feel confident. If I go in at 220, I'll never know. I'll be worried. So
yeah, I think my goal is to get down to probably about 240, 245 realistically. I mean, it's because part of the issue is that I've added on a tremendous amount of muscle to my legs,
which will happen.
So even with a decent lifting program, which I'm hoping will help with the hills, a lot of squats, a lot of deadlifts, stuff like that, and just sort of, I'm not trying to add muscle. I'm not doing like heavy weights, but
you get a lot of reps, leg press, yeah,
exactly. So, I think at this point, I just want to make sure I have a strong core, which is something that I've always lacked in my life.
Yeah. Flexibility. That's what, what the bike fitter told me. She's like, you should be doing yoga. You should be doing stretching. I don't stretch. And
I hate stretching.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. It's finding a yoga class, doing something called solid core. Like I wish there was more time in the day.
Absolutely.
I really do. So.
But I don't want to. I don't want to intimidate you either. I mean, you get down to 240. There's plenty of people at 240 that are finishing Ironman. Just not for me. It's like I kind of know my sweet spots, and I know last year adding the 30 pounds was not good for me. So I don't want you to think that that's the mark for everyone.
Right, no,
it's
I
not.
get that. No, and like you said before, where you thought, hey, if you had gotten to the run, you'd be okay. With me, as much as you think I'm going to be okay in the swim, I've never put my face or my head underwater in a lake. My thinking is if I can get through the swim, I'm going to be an Ironman. Like it could take me 16 hours and 59 minutes, but I'm going to finish the bike. And I as long as I don't get a flat tire, knock on wood.
I've gotten two. Here's the funny thing is I've gotten 2 flat tires in my entire life. All the training, all the miles in training, I've gotten 2 flat tires in my entire life. Both of them were during Ironman races.
That's crazy.
It's like dumb luck, but
Murphy's Law.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, I got at some point I got to go. I had to get my friend to help me hook up to the direct drive Wahoo kicker because I didn't know how to take my rear tire off and unhook the chain. So
it's not easy if you've never done it. And you got to, people say you got to practice that. For me, I didn't practice it that much. I did it a couple times and I'm like, all right, I know how to do it. If it happens, I'll get it started. Hopefully someone will come to help. And luckily both times I got flats, someone did come to help pretty quickly. And,
like somebody else in the race or like,
they have crews that drive around and will help you fix the flat, but you can't rely on them because you never know who gets a flat behind you and they're just going to help the first person they see first. So you can't rely on them. So, the second time I did it, in Maryland, there was just a guy who was following his wife and he had a Kona shirt on. So I know, and you can't be in this, if you wear a Kona shirt in this crowd, you better have raced Kona. Otherwise people are going to make fun of you. So I knew this guy was legit and he pulled his car over. He was following his wife. He's like, hey, do you need help? And I'm like, yeah. And he jumped out and he started helping me change a tire and he did it way faster than I could. Lake Placid. Awesome. Yeah, Lake Placid, they have people that drive around. I felt like I saw a lot of them last year. So they're there. It's just, it's hard to rely. You don't want to rely on them. You want to know a little, so I felt like I had base knowledge of how to change a tire. It might take me 15 minutes, but, hopefully I didn't need it. And I was lucky I didn't need it. And even the pros, it takes, almost 10 minutes to change the tire.
Really?
Yeah. It's not like it just comes off and goes on. It's a process. So.
Do you use what do you
I got air canisters, like little air canisters with tubes. So I carry tubes. I have 2 of them and I have 2 air canisters and you have to get the levers. There's 2 levers that come with it that you have to, one, you kind of pry open the thing and then the second you go around the outside and it unlatches the tire from the rim. It's a fun thing to learn.
Well, it's funny because I know it's not a video podcast, but so in this bag is every imaginable tool, extra tire, and I'm like, if I get a flat, I'm calling it Uber XL, and I'll throw my bike in the back of the freaking the Suburban that shows
Yeah,
up.
you're out of here. I hear you, man. Well, listen, I kept you here a long time. I wish you the best of luck training. I hope to hear from you. I hope to hear from some of your journey and hear how you doing. And certainly get in touch with me before Lake Placid. I'm sure I'll see you on Zwift actually.
Yeah, if you ever want to do a ride, just I don't follow a training plan. My coach says, ride for this long.
Yeah.
And focus on this heart rate or this zone. So if you ever want to hop on there at the same time, I'm happy to join you.
Yeah, no, that would be cool. And I got a couple other people that have been asking me the same thing, and I just been doing this training program. So it's like, my buddy Joe will text me and be like, "Oh, where are you? I see you're on Zwift. Where are you?" And I'm like, yeah, I'd love to meet up with you, but it's like I'm going like 105 watts in a rest period, and there's no way he's gonna want to stay.
Right.
I'm going like 3 miles an hour up a hill. But it is what it is. But I'd love to meet up with you. I'd love to do a ride. Sometime. And I got to do that myself. I have to look at it at the, like they have all these rides and even races, rides, whatever. And, I don't know. It's like a nice social tool, I think. I'm looking for, I think I've been intimidated because I'm so bad at the bike. I'm just, and that's another thing. When you weigh a lot, you'd have to put in your weight, and your speed is based off of your weight, a very large portion of it. And they say one of the way people cheat are they put in like a really low weight. But
people cheat where?
On Zwift. Yeah, like they do a Zwift race, and so they put in their weight at like 50 pounds less than what they really are, and it makes their cyclists go faster.
Interesting.
Yeah, because they don't have like there's no scale on your bike to tell you to figure out how much you weigh. I would never think of doing that because I want to know what my real output is. I want to know,
right?
But yeah. I guess they have races, so, and I don't know that they're not like cash prizes or anything like that. Then everyone would cheat, but for whatever reason, people get on there and they throw in their weight as my original weight, 5 pounds 10 ounces.
Speaking of which, how's the baby?
Oh, she's wonderful. She's wonderful. Knock on wood, she's like sleeping 6 hours. She's, she's not crying too much. Do
you have a name?
Ellie. LED Ricky.
Name.
Yep.
Congratulations.
Thanks, man. It's been quite a process. And I have a 9-year-old, so it's like resetting that clock. It's like I was just about to get freedom back. And push reset.
In a couple years, you're going to have a free babysitter for a while.
That's true. She doesn't know it yet, but actually she does know it. I've told her. It's not babysitting when it's your sister. That's my theory. That's my sales pitch.
Right.
It's not babysitting. Anyway. All right, man. Listen, wish you the best of luck at training.
Thank you, sir.
All right. And I'll see you around, and I can't wait to meet you up in Lake Placid.
Looking forward to it.
All right. On that note, we're going to end the podcast for today. I will be back again tomorrow. I can't even remember the guy's name. Eric Keeler, I think his name is. I don't know. I always forget. This is why I'm a terrible host. But I'll be back again tomorrow with another podcast. And until then, always remember, when it comes to running, I'm no expert. I'm just ordinary.